All right, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, we're talking about the Hiplok Urban D. But before we get into today's video, if you're new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell icon right next to that. That way you get notified every time I upload. That way you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content on this channel. So like I said, today we're talking about the Hiplok Urban D. And as you can tell, it's a D-lock here. I don't think I've ever reviewed a D-lock on my channel. And it's honestly been about a year since I've reviewed any Hiplok products either. And if you don't know Hiplok's been around for a while. And I don't really blame you for not really knowing them. Because honestly, I kind of knew they existed, but I didn't know much about them until probably a couple of years ago when I met them at Sea Otter and started talking to them a lot about their locks. And they make a lot of unique locks that do better than what you would find just off of the shelf. They're pretty high security locks. So they just sent me out the Urban D, and it took me a second to figure out what the heck I was supposed to review for a U-lock, because let's be honest here, I could go, this is a U-lock or a D-lock. It's that way because it looks like a D or it looks like a U, and it locks your bike like this. And we'd all be kind of bored. Let's be real. That's kind of a boring review, right? So I kind of thought, and I was like, you know what? Let's compare the Hiplok Urban D to the U-lock I've been using for the past 10 years. So I pulled out my U-lock I've been using for the past 10 years. This is the Kryptonite Crypto Lock Series 2 right here. This is what I've been using for the past 10 years or so to lock my bikes up. Especially when we go camping and places like that. This is by far, a U-lock, by far the best security you could have for those bikes. Hard to cut through, biggest thing. Hard to cut through, just solid, thick steel. Kind of hard to beat, right? So, I figured let's compare the two. So, if you kind of look at lengths of them, they're pretty close to about the same. I believe this is actually one of the longer versions of the Crypto Lock, but realistically, locking size about them, it's honestly about the same between the two. So I will say the Hiplok has a nicer kind of rubber on there, and the rubber actually goes all the way around, and then it's kind of a nicer plastic down here, so it doesn't scratch up your frame, versus you got the U-lock here, your standard Kryptonite one. It's got a rubber coating, but it's not quite as nice, I would say, as the Hiplok. And then down here, this is rubber coated, but with all the moving pieces down here, I can say this is where bikes get scratched, is on this guy right down here. And then even over here, that's metal right over here. So it's not quite as nicely protecting your bike as the Hiplok is. Now, one of the big things I noticed immediately on this guy was the kind of storage mechanism here. So U-locks most of the time come with some sort of bracket to mount them to your frame. So in the case of the Hiplok, it comes with a bracket just like this, two little hose clamps that go through here, and it secures to your frame. Kind of a nice little thing. And the hose clamps it comes with are actually pretty nice. They're little plastic hose clamps with kind of a metal screw that goes through and tightens them up that way. Have a little tail holder right at the end of them. And they're pretty nice. And it comes with a kind of a rubber patch to go in here to then secure it to your bike. Now, it took me a second to figure out how this worked, because it doesn't go on, right? You're kind of used to just popping it in with some locks. So what you do at the Hiplok is your lock is actually unlocked. This is going to be mounted to your frame, and then you go ahead and you slide this into that mount and then relock it onto there. Therefore, it locks the lock to your bike. That's kind of nice. Keeps the lock secured to your bike even when it's not locked up, because you can't remove this from your bike very easily. It is locked on there. It's not falling off, anything like that. Versus our Kryptonite here, kind of the standard mount here, pretty much has this little metal bracket here. And this little metal bracket clips into like a plastic mount. Same kind of deal. But it clips in and has a little lever. And that little lever, you push it and the lock can pop out. It doesn't lock it to your bike. Something I thought was kind of neat. The Hiplok locks to your bike, versus this one kind of just uses that little lever, and I'll say I've had them pop out. And that's why I don't even think I have them out for the Kryptonite anymore, because I don't think I liked it. So that's kind of the mount style on here. A little bit different kind of design there. I kind of like the way the Hiplok is, where it locks onto your bike. Now, one of the big things I saw with this that I thought was very interesting. So we get my key here, and we unlock our Kryptonite. Go ahead, pop our key in, unlock it. It has essentially one locking tab right there, and this kind of little dog leg here. So the dog leg slips in, and then your one locking tab goes in and locks it onto, and then you lock it from there. So it has that one singular locking point. Now, kind of one of the downfalls of that is you can have that on that leg, and this thing will pivot. Still, the whole base will still pivot on that dog leg. Now, the problem with that is, if a thief was to cut this side and got that loose, they could just pivot this lock open on that dog leg. And it could then become unlocked, or they can just pull the whole thing off, right? So it kind of defeats the purpose. And even if they did that, they can rotate the lock around. So, kind of a bit of a downfall in them. One-sided lock to it, and that's all you get. So you kind of get one-sided security to it. Now, if we look at the Hiplok here, if we unlock this guy, it has 2 locking tabs, one on each side. And you can tell with looking at them too, the way they are shaped, how they have flats here and then the locking tabs right here, they can't rotate. Once these are in here, you can't rotate this lock anywhere. If we try and put just one side in, it doesn't rotate at all. It is stuck in that one position. And so even if a thief was to cut one side, they wouldn't be able to get in. They'd have to do both sides of this lock in order to get into your bike. Because one side isn't going to free the lock. So they're going to have to cut through not one, but both sides of this lock in order to actually open it up. So that's kind of a cool design. I like that. I like the double-sided lock there versus just single side that I've seen on pretty much every U-lock. The double-sided lock with not being able to turn the base is really nice. That's really cool. And you can't like just spin it around. It just goes on just like that, locks into place, and you're set to go. And going along with the locking thing, if we look at the key for him, the Kryptonite has kind of I would say a standard bike lock key nowadays. Pretty kind of standard, a little bit pick resistant, but it's still a flat key. So it goes in there, and then you just turn it like kind of a normal key to unlock it. And then it has this little cover that slides over, covers it up. However, this isn't like the most high security key. I mean, it does a pretty decent job, but it's not the most high security key out there. Versus the Hiplok key is kind of different. It's just a circular key, has a little slot right in it with its little tabs cut in there. This guy has, again, a little plastic cover that slides to the side. You line that circle key up, and you just turn it, and it unlocks from there. Now, the circle keys do a little bit better for pick resistance and theft resistance. Now, I know they're not fully pick resistant because, well, I watched enough Lockpicking Warrior to know that, but it definitely does a better job. I know they require more of a specialty tool versus just your normal little pick set. Like some of the normal standard D-locks, you could probably pop open with a normal pick set. Even if you have some of the older U-locks, Vic Pen, stuff like that. But the circular key makes it really easy just to use, and it doesn't really have any teeth sticking out, so it's a nice, smooth key that you can kind of stick wherever you want. Also comes with 3 keys. Register them. You can get replacements if you lose your keys. Really nice. I like locks that come with 3 keys. Makes it really easy, especially since I have one, my wife has one, and then I have an extra spare. 3 keys is pretty awesome. So, kind of a neat design to it. Has a lot of good features here that I feel like a lot of U-locks don't have. One thing I've noticed with locks is they are rated. This one's rated Sold Secure Gold. And so I went, what does that even mean? I'll be honest. We just click bronze, silver, gold. Gold's pretty good. What does that even mean? What does gold mean for that rating? So I actually went and looked it up just because I was curious what that even meant. So essentially there's 4 levels it can be. So there's bronze, silver, gold, and then diamond. So diamond's gonna be the highest, of course. Gold second, then silver, and then bronze. Bronze is gonna be kind of your basic locks. So what does gold mean? So a Sold Secure Gold level protection is good for high-risk areas and offers protection from a wide range of potential attacks carried out over durations of about 5 minutes. So that means essentially someone would have to take about 5 minutes or more to get this lock to open. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, most gold locks are going to be U-locks because, again, it's just a solid steel shank. So most are going to be that because it's going to take quite a while to get through this. And again, like I said, they have to cut through both this side and this side in order to unlock the lock. They can't just do one side like they can on some. So you have to do a lot more on this versus some other U-locks out there. So general, they leave the gold rating. So if you're leaving your bike unattended in like a public area for a significant amount of time, the gold locks is what they recommend for that. I would agree. This lock is going to do the trick for it, no problem at all. And honestly, for me, this lock is going to be replacing my current U-lock, and this is going to be my new U-lock that I use for that. Now, I can already hear some of you, this isn't a bike lock review because you didn't try to break it open or cut it open or anything like that. Well, guess what? Hiplok's already done all that. Why would I do what Hiplok's already done? You can go on Hiplok's website. They show they've done it. They've showed that they've broken through the locks and showed how it all works. So why would I do that versus showing you that a U-lock is a great tool to use? And that's what makes the Hiplok Urban D my new choice for U-lock. In my opinion, it's a higher security than some of the U-locks you just get off the shelf. Some of the more basic U-locks, this guy provides that extra security you need. So if you guys are interested in checking out the Hiplok Urban D or any of other Hiplok's products, there's going to be links in the description down below. Check them out, give them some love. If you guys enjoyed the video or maybe you learned something new today, give this video a big thumbs up. Appreciate the support. Any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys. Love answering questions you guys have. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.